Hello and welcome to the Countersport Midweek Premier League Roundup. My name is James Cranford and I have got Kevin Bannon with me this evening. How are you doing, Kevin?
I'm very well, James. It's just me and you as we record on this Thursday evening, and I mean we could turn this into just a pure Barclaysman podcast, but I don't know if the other lads would appreciate that if we just start naming random players.
Yeah, we could. We are off the leash, aren't we? Potentially.
We are, yeah.
I could give you
The-
a Hugo Rodiega,
I'll see your Hugo. No, see, we could be at this all night.
a Joey O'Brien, perhaps. We could just do that. For those of you who are not watching, Kevin is wearing a beautiful Peru kit.
Yes.
And I just want to say I've got a Peru tracksuit top, so there you
Oh
go.
my God. We should have coordinated this beforehand.
We should have. I actually wore that yesterday, so there you go. Anyway, that's enough about our South American football merchandise.
Alberto Solano, what a footballer he was, by the way.
Yeah, there you go. Um, Kevin, Liverpool are going to win the Premier League.
Yeah, it's something we discussed at length on our last football show. Um, and if there was any even sinew of doubt within your mind or Darren's mind, our resident Liverpool fan, I mean, last night again. Do you know what I was thinking about watching last night? And correct me if I'm wrong here. And this does actually tie into our Barclays theme that we're running with. Are they a bit like that first Mourinho Chelsea team, where they're just much better than everyone else and seem to win every single game 2-0?
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad shout. And actually, I was doing a little bit of research,
Oh,
not
hello.
even not even for this podcast, just because I'm a sad man. And I was looking up because I was trying to give myself ammunition for the idea that this is not a good season
Hmm,
and Liverpool have kind of been handed the title and oh guess what? Isak's out.
yes.
And then the game before Haaland's out and Arsenal have got all these injuries and City have fallen off and Liverpool actually they're not actually that good. They've just sort of fallen their way to the title, which I need to say don't agree with. And I was looking at historic Premier League um, points tallies for
Hmm,
the champions. Sir Alex Ferguson, he won 11 titles in a 20 team league, and his
yes.
average points total was 84.
Yeah,
There
that
was
yeah.
one I should have come up with I should have the statistics to hand now, but I don't. So there you go. So I didn't know I was going to talk about this immediately. I have a feeling I might be wrong. Oh, here we go. There's a 75 in there. Can you
Yeah,
imagine that?
that was. I don't think it was the treble winning season, but I it may have been the season after.
I
No,
think
or
that
was it
yeah, I think that might have been yeah. Anyway, I
99
mean, there's a
2000
few.
maybe?
This isn't an attempt to bash Manchester United because
That's coming up, don't you
I,
worry.
I was going to say yeah we'll wait a little bit to that, but I noticed that basically since about 2011
Mm,
the requisite number of points has gone right up,
yeah,
and I don't know the average since that point, but basically you're looking at high 80s or 90s to win it, with the exception of Leicester.
yes.
And then another thing that just by the by that surprised me was Antonio Conte's Chelsea team. I think it was 93 points.
Yeah, yeah,
Which
that
I
and
didn't
it
think.
probably would have been more if he figured out how to play his best team from the very start of the season as well.
Yeah, so there you go. But the before the City juggernaut took so I was going to say took flight, but a juggernaut sort of rolls
Just
along.
yeah, barrels through, I would say.
Yeah, but before the City juggernaut started barreling, the record in the Premier League era was Mourinho's
Yes.
first title, which was 95. I think famously only conceded 16 goals.
Yes.
Liverpool could get 95 points. I don't think they will, but I they've been at 90 plus point pace for the whole year, pretty much. And Arsenal have been more or less 2 points per game for the
Yeah.
whole season. So this, I mean, when this is all over and done, Liverpool, we could end up with you know, a supposedly kind of team that's just had the league handed to it with 91 points, 90, 93, something like that. So I think,
Yeah, the only
yeah,
reason that thought occurred to me yesterday, and it's mainly to do with that 2-0 scoreline. And maybe it's just because they've won their last two games 2-0 that I'm saying this. But you remember Mourinho's teams they'd score sort of after 20 minutes, not much would happen, and then after about an hour they just put it away and then not
yes,
much would happen again. And it feels like Liverpool are just in that sort of, and like they're defensively very strong. You think of Carvalho and Terry, Van Dijk, Canade, that you have a sort of all-time Premier League great in Mo Salah and of course Super Frankie Lampard. And then you have, although you could argue Szoboszlai is kind of the Lampard in terms of positioning,
yeah,
but they and they just look comfortable throughout and they never look flustered, really. And okay, I understand they were flustered at times against Everton, against Villa, and against Wolves. But yeah, I don't know. I was watching it last night and I was like, this, like, and Newcastle have been okay. I know they've lost three of whatever last five or whatever, but they're a good team and yes, they're missing Isak, which is a huge thing. But yeah, I was just thinking of that last night because it's just such a procession. Like 13 points clear. Yes, okay, they've played a game more, but they're and we discussed it after the weekend. But it's just compounded by the fact that Arsenal can't keep up with them. And they're just
yeah,
going to struggle. Like there is I did see the fixtures. I think there's a possibility they win it at home to Arsenal, like mathematically.
yes. Well, we're now at the point with bear in mind some of the superstitious nature of some of my friends who are Liverpool fans. We're now at a point where there are some bookings of apartments in Liverpool city centre
Oh,
going
okay.
on for various fixtures because we want to be able to be together when the moment comes and cancellation free apartments. So they apologies if you're listening to this and that's one of your apartments, but I'm sure you'll rent it out to somebody else. Yeah, your point on the 2-0, it's funny, in danger of repeating myself for something I said somebody somewhere else yesterday. When I remember when Klopp left at the end of last season, it was emotional time. There's a lot of worry, like, are we going to get a guy as good and things like that. And I said, it's been fantastic. It's been wonderful. I wouldn't half like a few more 2-0s though,
Yeah,
because Klopp, I mean, even the title challenge last year, it went kind of maybe about 5 games out. Liverpool dropped out of the race, and it was all on adrenaline and it was all on
yeah.
emotion, and you know, we can think of the Barcelona game and the Dortmund comeback and all of these games. But yeah, I agree with you. And you say that to Mourinho scoreline. I always think of it as a Benitez scoreline because from that time, the classic Benitez press conference would be Liverpool would win 2-0, obviously with less regularity than Mourinho's Chelsea because
I
they
was
were
going to say Rafa
superior
Benitez,
team.
who didn't win a Premier League title.
Yes, but I think the classic result would be something like a 2-0 at home to Bolton, and we
Yeah,
Liverpool would score after 20 minutes, and then they get the second after 65, and Rafa would come in and go, we control the game. I was very pleased with the passing. I was, and that was basically his thing. We controlled the game. We defended well. I was very pleased with the passing. We didn't give the ball
yeah,
away. And I'm not saying Slot is is repeating that because he's obviously doing it with much more success, but. Yeah, and the whole thing. I know most clubs think this, but the whole thing of oh, we never do things the easy way, do
yeah,
we? Liverpool have
yeah.
pretty much done it the easy way.
They have. But James, as a Liverpool fan, do you not want to feel something like you did under Klopp?
Oh, I'm fed up of feeling now. I'm fed. Yeah,
You'll take
I've
this
had
one. You'll take
I've
this
had
one.
my fair share of high emotions. I just want some pure, unadulterated victory straight into the veins, and that is what. That's what Liverpool fans are getting at the moment. Remains to be seen how we're going to do in the Champions League and the EFL Cup final, of course.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's loads of points in going into the game in that much detail. As you say, it was
Yeah,
probably fairly similar to a lot of other results this year. Newcastle had one or two moments, but other than that, Liverpool score early-ish. Didn't look. Allison didn't have to make a save. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's honestly, I don't know what else there is to say about it, and unfortunately, it's not great for us in terms of a sort of content machine that we are here at the Counter Sport. But yeah, I think we're there's not much left to talk about really, unless I mean it's the mother of all bottle jobs, but it's not going to
yeah.
be.
No, no. It would be. It would require something the likes of which we've never seen. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's statistically correct, but I feel like it is.
Has anyone heard Arne Slot do a Kevin Keegan impression at all? Because you know that.
Yeah, yeah. I was thinking about Keegan yesterday. Actually, that 4-3 where he slumps over the
Yeah,
hoardings at the end. You think, God, that game is so different to this. It's.
it really is. Yeah.
Pretty much the last kind of 20 minutes easy street, and like you realized after a while, oh, Newcastle aren't going to get back into this. So yeah, barring a ridiculous turn of events, Liverpool are going to be the Premier League champions at the end of the season. They are going to win a 20th league title, drawing level with Manchester United.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, who's to say when number 21's coming for Manchester United?
Well, I don't know if you want to get onto United now because,
Let's do United now then, Kevin. Manchester United won a game yesterday.
well, I mean, I you deliver that line about 21st title, a bit crassly, James, but not everyone can win a home game against relegation threatened Leicester with 10 men after going behind early on.
Well, especially as it wasn't a relegation threatened Leicester. It was
Yeah.
relegation. It was relegation threatened Ipswich, but just
Oh my God, yes.
your
Sorry. Oh my God.
you were
That's
so your
how
brain
that's
is so scrambled by the manner
it's
of the
like, do you
victory.
know why? I think it's because Leicester were the last team they beat before this.
Probably something to do. Yeah, the blue and white. Something
Yeah,
like.
blue and white at home.
Well, go
Sorry.
on then, Kevin. I
Former
actually.
Manchester United staffer Van
Yeah,
Nistelrooy, Kieran McKenna. Maybe it's all just coming into. Oh my God, what a
I
journalistic integrity for me. Look, United. Do you know what the funny thing about that United game yesterday? Right, you go behind in stupid circumstances where your left back and your goalkeeper just get into the worst mix-up and simple as finish. I maintain from going 1-0 behind to Dorgu being sent off, I actually thought United played quite well. Now I know I realize that's what like a 25-minute period, but considering what they've done recently, look, you have to take positives from seasons like this as a United fan. And I know we are saying Mo Salah is the Ballon d'Or front runner, but is there space on that stage for Harry Maguire? He's won it. He's actually played quite well this season. And again, I don't want to be taking the piss too much here, but I am being serious. I was impressed with Dorgu last night, despite the red card and the mix-up, which I think, to be fair, the mix-up is more on Onana than it is on Patrick Dorgu. It's a horrible challenge. He deserved to be sent off, but it makes such a difference when you actually have a left wing back that is left footed. I think we saw it. We saw with United this season. It was a theme for England in the Euros as well. Do you remember they just kept playing Kieran Trippier left back for no good
yeah.
reason? Well, I said no good reasons because Luke Shaw. Did you realize Luke Shaw wasn't fully fit? Does that sound familiar?
Was he not? No.
But look, I've steadily maintained the fact that this season is a complete write-off for United, but you need to see some green shoots and some progress. Still waiting on the progress. I think there's glimpses of it. Um, but like this talk of Amarim, like you're not going to sack him. Don't be ridiculous. Like you can take all the sandwiches away and close the canteen as much as you like. Just there's no point in sacking him now. Like there's literally zero point. So I don't get that attitude. And look, they have another game now, Fulham in the FA Cup at the weekend. I'd imagine the plan. for that was always that Altay Bayindir was going to start in goals. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if he plays well in that game like he has done in previous games in that competition, if he stays in goal, because I was a fan of Onana, but I don't think he can legislate for the how bad of a season he's having now.
Well, I was going to come
So
on
I
to
wouldn't be
that.
surprised if he changed it permanently if Bayindir has a good game on Saturday.
Yeah, I was going to say, the road to recovery starts here. Manchester United have leapfrogged one of the best teams in Europe in Everton, so that's a
Yeah.
green shoots of recovery, as you say. Yeah, I mean, on the things to do in the summer, uh, could a new goalkeeper be on the cards? Although we don't really know where United are going to be PSR wise. In terms of the massive to-do list that Ruben Amorim's got, where do you think possibly replacing Onana is on there, or do you think it's even on there at all?
I don't think it was on there, but I think it's slowly being etched onto that to-do list in pencil right down the end. Um, I think the fact that they have by India, who, like I said, has shown qualities that he may be good enough to be number one, might ease that. I mean, the goalkeeping market at the moment, if you're to dip in, and this is taking it as if United can afford any of this, by the way. We don't, like you said, we don't know. Uh, Liverpool aren't going to sell Kelleher to United. Um, One of the hottest rated keepers in Europe is already going to Liverpool. Mamardashvili, can you get Chevalier out of Lille? Maybe. Uh, does Mike Magnan want to hang around in Milan? Maybe. But like, where else are you going to go for non-extortionate amounts of money? Um, Lunin from Madrid, but again, like he's kind of in a Keller situation where Courtois, Courtois does get injured sometimes. So yeah, I think I'd nearly be of the thinking now that just let Onana just take him out of the team for a few weeks because his head is clearly just all over the place. Go up by in there, and if it's not an utter disaster, reevaluate in 4 weeks. That's my thinking behind it.
Fair enough. So possibly not a P45 in the post for Onana on the basis of that, but it remains to
No.
be seen. We will see. We've just done a little segue onto United. We'll go back to what the race formerly known as the title race. Arsenal drew 0-0 away to Nottingham Forest. I just wondered what are your thoughts on Arsenal on the challenge that they put up on Mikel Arteta? Do you think they gave it a good go? Can they be criticised? Where do you stand on the we've had hard lines, or what's your take on the whole Arsenal situation then, Kevin?
Look, I think it's strange for a team that's been sort of a team, and I should stress as well of portions of their fan base because you don't want to paint a general picture. For a team that's been sort of so over emotional and over hyped and reacting wildly to everything, they're going out with a bit of a whimper in a weird way. And yes, you can definitely have sympathy in terms of the injuries because there's no doubt, obviously, that that's played a part. Their best player is out, for an extended period of time, and it's been well combed through. They've no options at centre forward with Jesus and Havertz and obviously Martinelli and Saka, and so I have some sympathy there without a doubt because I think it looks slightly different. In terms of Arteta, it's very difficult to know how much say he has in terms of incomings at that club. If he is the head honcho like Wenger was all those years ago, and they failed to bring in a striker both in the summer and in January, I think he has to take a bit more of the blame. If he's just my job as the coach, I deal with what's put in front of me, obviously he gets less of the blame and it's more of a boardroom issue. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know the ins and outs of that, but yeah, they like I said, they're just going out with a bit of a whimper, and it's just like can you it's very difficult to see them scoring ever again.
Yes.
And I'm I'm increasingly thinking that PSV might knock them out of the Champions League. And this isn't based on a lot. Um, but I now there's a possibility that they get some people back for that tie. Which again I will revise my prediction. I don't know. I think PSV can hurt them, and I don't. Again, the lack of forward options is just gonna it's gonna kill them. If it doesn't kill them against PSV, it's gonna kill them in the next round against Atletico or Real. Um,
Yeah.
and it's another trophyless season. Look, I think you'd be insane to get rid of Arteta at the end of the year. One, who are you going to replace him with? Nagelsmann, I saw today. It's like Nagelsmann's not going to leave Germany. So, and who else? Iriola. Here's another Basque manager with wonderful black hair. You know, I think you throw the kitchen sink at the transfer market this summer. Zubimendi's already done, it seems. You get your centre forward, you get another winger. You may not get Nico Williams, but you might get an Antoine Semenyo. You go all out for Sheshko, Osimhen, whoever it may be, and you reload for next year. Because City will be back next year. Liverpool will be thereabouts next year. If Newcastle's big boys hang around, they're going to be there. And obviously, look, we've touched on United. They're clearly going to be thereabouts as well. But yeah, I think you'd be mad to get rid of him now because I think what he's done since he's been in charge, he's earned another go at it.
He has earned another go at it, but he's also earned a possible slamming coming off Kevin.
Oh, is this a Cranford slamming?
It might be. Yeah, I think my issue with him has been first things first. I think all the stuff, the documentary stuff about playing "You'll Never Walk Alone" and getting people to pickpocket the play and all. I like,
In some way, he's the perfect manager for a lot of that fan base.
yeah, and that it always depresses me a little bit because I always think, oh, these elite clubs, these elite managers, this is cutting edge. This is like
Mm.
management strategies that you couldn't believe. And yeah, I couldn't believe them, but in the bad way. They always, it's all stuff about like, drawing stuff on a board and like you're this half of a heart and you're
Yeah.
this and you're you're the branches of a tree and these the leaves and the physios and all this kind of it all smacks of very like management training course from about 1995 to me. Someone like my dad would get sent to like Milton Keynes and like they'd be doing all this stuff then. So that's a side issue. My main issue is I feel like some of his things he says are potentially actively detrimental to even just very early on in the season. We're going back to maybe October, November time. He's
Mm.
saying, well, these injuries are just, what with the injuries that I've got? And I'm thinking he, in contrast to Arne Slot, he provides his players with excuses all the time, I think, or just the vibe of,
Do you not think the injuries is a valid enough excuse?
I do, I do to a point, but then I think, and I'm trying not to make this into a partisan Liverpool podcast, but I think, ironically enough, Liverpool's title challenge last year fell off the wheels when they got a lot of their first team players back because it was, and as Liverpool fans, we were all going, oh great, we've got Trent coming back, we've got Salah coming back. They were all sort of put back in the first team at the same time. And the players who've been playing really well, like Connor Bradley and like Harvey Elliott and people like that, and Nunez actually at a point, they were all ruthlessly dispensed with, and then the results started fading away. So there was a point. I've seen people going, "Oh, Liverpool couldn't manage," and I think, well, Liverpool. It was about 8 or 9 games out last season. We're top of the league, and between January and about April, they had Allison out for most of the season. Kanate was out for a while. Salah was out for 3 months or something. That was the longest time he's ever been out. And maybe part of the that was on adrenaline, and Klopp was leaving, and we've just got to get it over the line for you. I don't know what the alchemy was there, but anyway, they didn't win the league. That's fair enough. I do think it is obviously legitimate, but I just think I look at again trying not to turn this into a Aren't Liverpool Great podcast, but the Liverpool are 13 points clear at the top of the league, so maybe this is a Aren't Liverpool Great podcast.
Jesus, I mean, like we've been through Liverpool. This is
We
Arsenal
have.
now, James.
I'm just talking about in comparison. So slot first 12:30 kickoff of the season. The journalist goes, "Oh, Liverpool traditionally not very good at 12:30," and Jurgen pointed out that you proportionally get more of them than any other team in the league.
Mm.
And he just goes, he kind of goes, "I'm not bothered when the game is. We're Liverpool Football Club. We need to win these games." He just
So
no nipped in the bud straight away. Someone asked him about
remind me who is serving a touchline ban this week?
On a slot. The two match touch. Johnny Heitinger's
Johnny
mighty.
Heidinga, Everton
Yeah,
legend.
yeah. There you go. Yeah. So
No, I look, I know what you, I do understand what you're saying about Arteta and how some of his methods, like I look, a lot of it is bullshit to me. A lot of it is someone's listened to Jake Humphrey's high performance
oh
podcast quite
yeah,
a bit,
it is
and I
very
get
high
that.
performance
But
actually. Yeah.
I look, I don't particularly, I don't have too many feelings on Arteta either way. I think you can be critical for some things. I think you're right. I think he riles up his squad in the wrong ways more than the right ways sometimes. But I
Mm.
don't think there's any doubt that this season the injuries have had such an impact. But it could have been preemptively dealt with if they'd signed the right players in the summer and in January instead of buying another left back.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? So
Well, even the
I get what you
Zubimendi
I agree with you
transfer.
to a point, but I do think from where Arsenal were and what he's done, I think overall you'd have to say he has done a good job
Oh
because
yeah, I would
like when
agree.
he
Yeah.
came in, Arsenal were a disgrace.
Yeah.
So
I think
now
he's
the irony is as well the lad the fellow who replaced you could argue is possibly a better manager than him in Unai Emery,
yeah.
maybe. But I mean, I don't think we'll have time to get onto the top four. But
End of the package there. I think he's done a very good job in turning them round from where they were. They were not a serious football team for several years. I remember that game when Brentford came up, and you just knew Brentford were going to
yeah,
beat them on the first.
yeah, the
They
Friday
just
night, yeah,
absolutely stank of it. So he's done really well. The first title challenge year, it was kind of unexpected, and now they're expecting to challenge every year. My one slight reservations are, I think, some of the mentality. I mean, this is even going back to last year, the applauding of the 0-0, and I think there's a against this was a 0-0 against City. I think there's a little extra thing you've got to go and Liverpool have just beaten Man City away. You've got to go and you know they were the better team against Liverpool earlier in the season. Win that game. I know they beat City 5-1 the other week, which was a really good performance. You've got to try and win some of those games. Um, you know, yeah, I just think there's a little tiny bit missing. I agree with you on the signings as well. I think Zubimendi looks like a great player, but do you think he loves a combative, good passing central midfielder, doesn't he? He's already
he
got
doesn't have one.
he, he's got Marino, he's got Tom. I mean, Partey may go at the end
Well,
of the
that's the
season.
thing. I think you put the midfield three then will be Odegaard, Zubimendi, Rice. because,
Yeah.
and I think that works because I think they complement each other quite well. Um, because you know they make up for each other's flaws, and I like Zubimendi can set the tone. You can let Rice run all up and down the pitch, and then Odegaard obviously be that creative fulcrum. But they need at least two forward players. Like
Yeah.
they do because and I know this debate has raged on forever, and I don't trust Havertz.
No.
He's a useful player, but he's not. He's not gonna do this. So they need reinforcements. And like I said, I think you'd be insane to get rid of him now. Like
Yeah.
even if which they more than likely because they're not going to win the Champions League, so they will end up trophyless again. And all this, oh, second again, second again. Look, this year was their big chance, but the injuries and the lack of forward planning has killed them. But that doesn't mean you blow the whole thing up.
Fair enough. And we will leave it there for the latest edition of the Counter Sport midweek Premier League roundup. It's been a good few days for Liverpool. It's been a bad few days for Arsenal. It was a good day for Manchester United.
What's
It
rare is
was
wonderful.
yeah, it certainly was. Yeah. In conclusion, again, I hate to say it, hate to remind everybody, Liverpool are 13 points clear at the top of the Premier League table. What are we going to do? They're going to be unbearable, aren't they, Kevin? These Liverpool fans, they're going to be unbearable.
Going to be.
Thank you very much, Kevin.
You're very welcome, James.